have someone that's going to speak to us about the flyover. Jason Millsap. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Nope.
Okay, I'll talk loud. If you can't hear me, raise your hand, please. Bob. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jason Millsaps. I'm here tonight because I live in the county, and I'm also the chairman of the Montgomery County Young Republicans. If you didn't know, the Montgomery County Young Republicans passed a very similar resolution to what you are about to take up here in a little bit. And so I wanted to let you know that the YRs have passed that resolution. Ours has a little more substance to it as far as some intricacies of the contracts and things that y'all may hear tonight. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. In my day job, I'm the Chief of Staff for the Texas House of Representatives, House District 15, which is the southern portion of Montgomery County. And I live up here in North County. So I have two sides of the county I represent, from one living and where I work. So I have reviewed the TxDOT contracts that we have in place for the flyovers at Highway 242 that were signed in 2005. And then right after that, voters approved a road bond in 05 in September that would start, basically kickstart the pass-through toll program that Montgomery County kind of spearheaded with TxDOT back then. The word toll and pass-through toll is not really a toll like you and I think of it. It's basically the state paying us back, the county, for every mile of road that we built under this agreement, for every car that drove on that mile, 7 cents. And so a lot of roads are on that, 1488, 1314, 1486, 1484, and the flyovers at 242. So people go, well, how did the flyovers at 242 get paid off so quickly? They were part of the pass-through program, so for every car that went on it, that car paid a toll. That was from us, and then the state paid 7 cents per lane mile on top of that. The state has paid all of its pass-through money for those projects off. We got the last payment last year, and Commissioner's Court approved the final payment to go towards defeasing that debt in 2000, earlier this year, in January of this year. So all the pass-through projects are now paid for, including the flyovers. Those contracts, as you go into them, have a very interesting point. Section 16 has a termination clause. That termination clause states that once the once the TxDOT has fulfilled its obligation to pay us back, the contract is then voided. It has a stipulation in there, subsection C, that says as long as we continue to charge tolls on any component of the pass-through program, then we have certain obligations. One of those obligations was that we should build a third flyover in 2000 at the 242 intersection. That amendment to the original contract was done in 2010. In 2010, we made that agreement, we made that motion, we made that amendment to the original contract to take 100% of the cost of the third flyover. That's a really crappy deal for Montgomery County, and here's why. Under Texas law, the state pays 80% of any project on a state road. The county pays 20%. So we've basically said, you let us toll this bridge, and we'll pay 100% of the $12.5 million of the cost of the third flyover. When this agreement was made, we hadn't even started construction on the first two. So we have no idea or timeline on when we're going to build the third. The third flyover, if we borrowed the money at $12.5 million in 2010's numbers, which it's probably more, it would have a payoff of about 25 years on the current usage of the flyovers. If we were in the tolls, that part of the contract also becomes void, which then allows us to go to the table with TxDOT and negotiate with TxDOT for the 80% funds matching for that project. But we haven't done that because we're operating on the assumption that we have this contract in place, which we do. But it becomes void the moment the county says no more tolls on these two bridges. And then we can get state money. At the current estimated cost, which was the most recent one in 2010, the cost of the project was $12.5 million. 80% of that is $9.5 million that the state is avoiding paying by us tolling the two bridges and continuing to toll the two bridges. That's why I said it's a crummy deal for Montgomery County. So why our resolution basically states that we should end this whole project because it's a form of double taxation. that would allow Commissioners Court to then renegotiate with TxDOT to get some state matching funds, and would allow us to save county tax dollars and make these bridges free, which if you are in that area of 242, 85,000 cars a day go through that intersection, and only about 7,000 cars use the two bridges. If you sit there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, cars go past the bridge, sit at the 3 red lights, they don't use the bridge. In the morning, when everybody's in a hurry to get to work, the flyover bridge that has no red light at the end of it from East County on to South of 45, you can sit there and watch the traffic back up over the railroad bridge because no one wants to take the toll flyover. If it's free, it will alleviate traffic at that intersection like it was originally designed to do. So there's several components to this. I won't take up any more time because I'm sure a lot of people are ready to go home if you work the polls today. So I'll be around as a resource if it's necessary as you guys get into it. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one question. Why is it so important to do this now and not wait till after the election?
So it just come out. Unfortunately, the timing of it's kind of bad. One, Commissioners Court just voted to defease the debt on these projects in January, so very recently. And so the question, if I understand it, why is it so important? It became a political question at an open forum about a week or two after the bond debt was paid off. And the answer from several candidates was kind of interesting. So I don't push that. As a YR, I don't have control as the chairman of what that board does. Several board members came together and said we would like to take up a resolution. They did it on their own. Once it passed that committee, then it came to the full executive board, which then I control, and we passed it out unanimously. So, yes, ma'am.
But still, exactly, I need some time frame because I feel like we've come up here and we were just here 4 weeks ago.
So
Why couldn't we have voted on this 4 weeks ago? Why is it now, or why can't we vote on it in 5 more weeks, whenever we
So
meet again?
that's a question you guys are going to have to discuss openly. I would say, just on the timing, I don't think 4 weeks ago, it was made very clear that vote at Commissioners Court paid off this debt.
When
And
did
so,
Commissioners Court finish is my question.
yeah, I think it was January 8th.
Okay, so
Yes.
we didn't meet yet, so
Yeah.
I'm thinking we should have
Yeah.
brought
So,
this up on
but
January
that's
23rd.
I'm not a precinct chair, so that's something you guys would have to talk about. Mr. Paredes, yes, sir.
2 questions. Number one, who signed the pass-through agreement back in '05, and who signed the memorandum of understanding between the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT, and the Texas Administration Division offices in January 12?
I mean, Tim.
What I have is,
So the original contract was signed by Barb Sadler, former county judge,
Thank you.
with authorization from all 4 of the commissioners at that time.
okay,
Under today's Commissioners Court attendance, only 2 commissioners remain that were there at the time. That's Mike Metter and now County Judge Craig Doyle. The rest of them were not on the court at that time. The amendment that you refer to that added the financing portion of the third flyover at 100% cost of the county was also signed by Judge Sadler after a motion was made by Commissioner Ed Chance and seconded by Mike Metter, and then voted on by the 4 commissioners at that time, Ed Reinhardt and Craig Doyle. So it was done prior.
thanks for the clarification. Second question is, once your resolution passed, where did that resolution go?
I forwarded that resolution to Chairman Dr. Wally Roberson.
And then where does it go?
That's up to the chairman. So we have issued a press release. Unfortunately, not all of our local media has taken that press release and ran with it. So, and that's fine. You know, the Young Republicans aren't known for passing resolutions. We've only done 2 of them, and this is the second. The first one was on reappraisals after Hurricane Harvey.
Thank you, we need to call
Thank
this
you.
to order. Thank y'all.
I'll
Thank
stick
you.
around, Linda.
Ladies and gentlemen, do y'all want Commissioner Clark to speak before we call the meeting to order? He can answer some of your questions.
Yes.
All right.
Basically, some of this timing of this has been called into issue. Well, the timing of, it's the political season, so should we stop doing business? Should we start doing what's right? It's been very clear, with the exception of Commissioner Nowak, bringing to the point that I did vote to put the tolls on the road. I will tell you that this whole deal happened before I got here. The deal was already cut, the deal was already done, the contract was in place. Basically, my vote was to set the tolls. I mean, here I am, brand new commissioner, came in, the deal with the toll roads are already cut. It was just, what I voted for was the lowest amount. I felt, 50 cents or a quarter or whatever we could get the lowest amount. And we voted on that at that time. So I'm not going to say that I didn't vote to toll it. But what I am telling you is when a toll road gets paid for, it's time to stop taxing the people. And I'm telling you what Jason said is absolutely true about the contract. We went over this contract. I was made aware that, I saw y'all's resolution. I'm in full support. I appreciate y'all. I feel like getting behind me and getting these tolls removed off of there. People are saying, well, what about the third flyover? What about this? What about that? Well, what about a lot of things? Are we going to just sit around and say, let's wait, let's just keep putting the tolls on there? I can assure you that I have a plan in place. I'm going to go meet with TxDOT as soon as the election's over. Things are a little crazy right now. But I am going to go down and meet with TxDOT, and we are going to move forward with a plan for the third flyover. And it's not going to have anything to do, it's going to be more akin to what Jason's talking about. The state needs to pay 80%, we need to pay 20%. We need to move forward, and I'm in favor of the resolution as it's been written. Okay? Thank you so
Jim.
much. I'll let
Let's
you
start
get
the
down to
meeting and
business.
get on.